Thank you very much for joining me on the Job Scam Report. This is Mark, and you want to know more about me and what I do at the Job Scam Report. I'm basically a careers writer who's created a Substack dedicated to the job scams. So you can find me at markanthonydyson.substack.com. I hope that you'll also consider downloading a podcast. You can listen to it on several different platforms. You can go to Apple Music, you can go to Spotify, you can also find it on YouTube Music and YouTube, of course. You can see the videos and the podcast there. And of course on Substack, the home of the Job Scam Report, where you'll find the newsletter and articles, and there's many of them there, solely dedicated to job search and job scams. And hopefully you enjoy that once you get a chance. In the meantime, I just want to hold your attention for a few minutes and talk about search everywhere optimization. Now, that's a term that's a little bit takes off from search engine optimization. Now, a little bit of background about search engine optimization, as you may or may not have heard of it. Search engine optimization is about being found on Google in search engines like Bing and Brave and Chrome and many other Safari. So you're using keywords. It's basically word driven. And these days, it's not just articles, but also where podcasts appear and also where videos appear. Those are all part of it. And you used to be able to put in your keywords like job search for a restaurant or a name and be able to look for those particular topics and be able to find what's available. And those are usually ranked by authority, traffic, or maybe even amount of keywords in it, but more than likely the first two is that there's authority and that there's traffic behind them. And people are usually doing research based on that. Now, when it comes to artificial intelligence, that's where the search everywhere optimization begins. But let me go back a little bit for the search engine optimization, because search engine optimization is in many of the social networks as well. You can look through different keywords and different topics and different names and look for those, any that are associated for the right ones. The more specific you are, the better. It is specifically helpful in this conversation in a lot of ways, since we're talking about jobs and job scams. In LinkedIn SEO, it's driven by the same keywords, topics, names, subject matters, and you put those in. And LinkedIn, you can specifically rearrange those to be the latest or the ones that are trending or the ones that are popular. You can arrange your news feed in such a way where it ranks whatever the latest is at the top. You can also exclude from those particular terms, and exclude those may not necessarily relate, because LinkedIn has a tendency, like all the other ones, to ads in there or things they think you would like. So here we're talking about search everywhere optimization, where AI comes in and they're able to, the different AI softwares are able to take those same elements, names, topics, keywords, and be able to find what is the latest. Now with AI, the more specific you are, the better you'll be able to find your result. And it's aggregating from all these different places now, basically what's found in the search engines, but not only just the search engines. And if you notice lately, and really back up a little bit, in the past couple of years, for the first time, we've seen comments to be found by the average person during a Google search. And there's other factors where someone will put a comment, even if it's in Shopify or an Amazon comment, it can appear in the search engine. Now, some of that is coming here, but it's basically when you're looking for a name, you wouldn't find the comments. And if anything, you do find the comments because it had a lot of action on it, like some likes, or there's traffic, or maybe it was highlighted by the press, as opposed to search engines only able to find the links to where you want to go. AI is finding the whole context and the history. So if you're searching for a name, for instance, if I used to be able to go to a couple of years ago when ChatGPT came out, the first thing I did was look up Mark Anthony Dyson. It showed nothing, but when I put in Mark Anthony Dyson, the voice of job seekers, 75% was right, 25% was off. Now, when you put in Mark Anthony Dyson, ChatGPT, and all the others, it'll come up with a much more relevant history of what I've done. I spent the time putting it on my blog and my website, the Substack, my LinkedIn, and all those things that are associated. Links back to my website. So these days, for somebody who has never started and doesn't have their name out there, even if you have a Facebook page, it's a little bit harder. AI is pulling from multiple places and mostly it's found on the web. And if you've digitized your reputation, you've done a good job in being able to have AI come and create this history for you. Now, what does that relate to job search? The past years, recruiters have been using word searches or Boolean searches, which are a string of different topics or names, or even a topic, a title, and a name to get a specific result to look for finding candidates to find for them to interview for a job they have open. The same thing happens on LinkedIn as well. They've been using those kind of searches. They'll use the one name, or they'll use several different terms or the Boolean string term to be able to get a certain result. The same with artificial intelligence, except if you don't have a robust or at least a findable way for people to search for you, you're not going to be found with AI, or your AI won't be able to generate much for you. Now, AI is going to get better. It may get better at aggregating all of these sources than what it does now. And even better, definitely better than what Google is. They'll be able to get the whole profile in one shot, as opposed to searching through different terms and different places. Now, they may use different search engines to compare and contrast, but ultimately the search everywhere optimization is going to be where they're going to be able to use it once and to be able to get your MO or your whatever you digitize in your reputation. And that's by the way, I used that from a Rory Vaden, look him up, personal branding theory that he's had and he's had tested over and over again. And I think that's a better way to look at it, is you're going to be able to be found much simpler. So as a job seeker, you've got to think about practicing search everywhere optimization and not just having a single profile on LinkedIn and maybe something on Instagram, which really for a lot of people is just fun. It's something for family and something that is lucky, or maybe even a side hustle, let's say. But those things are going to be exclusive for what AI is going to be able to find. So the search everywhere optimization is going to be critical because, again, recruiters are going to use very few sources here the next few years because Google will look like it's a little bit behind now, especially with what AI is being able to do, as opposed to what people are expecting it to do. And if you're using AI, you can get a lot clearer picture a lot faster in one place because it aggregates from everything that's on the web. So that's why it's going to be important these days to start search everywhere optimization, so you can show up a year from now. So with people being laid off, their intentions and their reputation being undermined because they're being called underperforming, you're going to have to strategize a little bit to show your work and show proof that you have been doing the work. So even if somebody labels you, you can show there's great results. Consider putting your work online, which is something that's been talked about a long time, particularly one of my colleagues, Hannah Morgan. She has talked about you should show your work. You should show what you can do. Show the proof so people can do it, not just talk about it. So it's going to give you a slight edge to be found by recruiters and employers. Not that they couldn't find it in SEO, but again, it's going to be a lot quicker search and they're going to have a lot less time. Because it looks like the way things have been going, recruiters are getting a lion's share of what 5 people can do back in the day. So again, I know my recruiter friends are going to chime in, and I'll even do a follow-up video based on some of the input I get from you guys. But again, this is the idea that kind of crossed my mind. And by the way, the search everywhere optimization is something that the past couple of years, and I think it really does apply to job seekers and job search. Now, why does it apply to job scans? Someone can get ahead of you in building a reputation on your name and become you. Job scams are about becoming an imposter with your personal information. So if you're not controlling the narrative, somebody else is going to assume the responsibility to claim that for you in place of you. And now we got a shot of what could actually happen in the future, which has been oncoming for a while, as an imposter can become hired as a real employee, receive a check in somebody else's name, using their personal information to not just get their check, but also use their credit lines, use their reputation to get in places where they don't belong, have conversations as you, because they're being discovered as you, because you didn't take the time to be found elsewhere. I don't know if a LinkedIn profile is going to be enough. If you see someone, you can ask them to send you an invite. If they don't, they more than likely either don't use the platform very much, or they're not them. They're not who they say they are, or you're not who you say you are. One of the two. Well, ultimately, you're going to need to be found in more places than just one. You need to have one strong place, and LinkedIn is probably a good place right now, probably the best where you can be found with your reputation. So you can solidify your place when you look for future business partners, even people who want to work with you or want to work with somebody with your skill set or with your personality. Those things are going to be really important. So you're going to need to control the narrative, and it's time to start getting ahead of that right now. And this is also, again, to protect yourself against an imposter who wants to use your information to get what they want. Something that you worked hard to craft and to create over the years, they're going to control the narrative, and they're sending it to somebody else's site and somewhere else, someone else's LinkedIn profile or someone else's blog or wherever they want to benefit from. That's what they'll want to do. How do you protect your privacy? How do you protect your information? How do you protect you and the I have a hard time saying this, digitization of your reputation? How are you going to protect that? You're going to be in protective mode too. Putting things like your birth date and the celebration of your birth date, those are things that are clues that are about you and your reputation, who you are. Things like your wedding anniversary. Lord knows we haven't talked very much how somebody can take your employee ID information and possibly use that as a verification of you. So you've got to do other things to protect your personal phone number when you put them on job sites. Don't put your address in your resume, because someone an opportunity to be you. You'll want to also protect your spouse's names, your children's name, their birth dates, your spouse's anniversary date, as far as when they started their job, if they've started a job, or even your spouse's wedding dates. All those things need to be protected. Now, we know not to give our social security number out. Some people are pretty reckless, so I'll leave it there. I think we need to get down to not putting the type of illnesses, if it's in the early stages and it's not physically obvious, we shouldn't reveal it online. The medication that we're taking, the type of vitals we have a doctor's visit, nobody really needs to know. So I think we're going to have to navigate a little bit differently, a little bit more carefully. We want to be known everywhere without being known privately or personally. Now, I'm not saying don't have personal friends where you may need to give them some personal information if you want them to have it. But for anybody to grab it means you're leaving it up to anyone online to be able to take the information and claim as you, especially if there's money or things involved. So those are my thoughts. I'd like to hear what you guys think. I think it's just the right time to talk about how you're going to be able to move about in a way where your personal information is not so vulnerable, but you're known everywhere enough that employers and recruiters, headhunters, or even people who would like to refer you to someone that they know as an introduction for them to know firsthand. So let me know what your thoughts are. And Don't forget to subscribe to me, correct it in a lot of these matters. But I think in theory, I think search everywhere optimization is expanding the way that we think about our online reputation or the digitization of our reputation. Hopefully you'll be able to job search effectively and safely and put all the safeguards you need to. Thank you very much and enjoy the podcast. Listen to the past episodes. We've got live that's coming up soon with the crew and special guests. We'll be excited to present for you here in the next week. I believe it'll be next week by the time you get there. So you all have a good day.